The cops showed up at my door because I moved boxes. I'm not kidding. My psycho HOA president, Melissa, called 911 on moving boxes. When Officer Carter saw my wife's army patch and whispered, "Wait, is that Ghost Viper?" Both women went dead silent. I had zero clue what that meant, but their faces told me everything had just changed. Turns out, my quiet wife has military secrets that terrify our neighbor. And this suburban nightmare spun into the wildest story of justice I've ever lived through. You ever have one of those days where you think you've finally figured life out, only to get slapped upside the head with something straight out of a movie? That was our moving day. I'm Austin, 34, and up until about 3 hours before all this went down, my biggest worry was which wall our couch should go against in the living room. Turns out, my wife Rachel is some kind of living legend in the military world, and our new neighbor? Apparently running her own criminal empire right here in the middle of suburbia. Yeah, life comes at you fast, folks. So I'm out there, sweating my way through moving boxes, when this woman materializes in front of me. Melissa King, HOA president. Imagine perfect blonde hair, makeup sharp enough to perform surgery, and a smile that basically announces, "I'm here to ruin your week." Clipboard in hand, walking like she owns every square inch of this neighborhood. And honestly, she probably believed she did. Rachel was carrying her work stuff, just boring cybersecurity files for her defense contractor gig. Nothing dangerous, just boxes labeled Northrop Grumman Defense Systems and contractor cybersecurity materials. Standard stuff if you know tech. But Melissa? When she caught sight of those labels, her face went from smug to absolutely panicked in about 2 seconds flat. Suddenly, she's pacing on her pristine lawn, throwing us dirty looks, gesturing like those boxes are about to detonate and level the block. Any normal person might have said, "Hey, welcome, need a hand?" Not Melissa. Oh no, she goes full meltdown, ranting about unauthorized military materials, threats to community safety, and violations of HOA security protocols. I'm just standing there like, "Lady, these are cardboard boxes, not nuclear codes." But she's not hearing it. Instead, she dials 911 right there in our driveway, reporting suspicious military activity and possible threats to children. I'm thinking, there's got to be an Olympic medal for that level of audacity. Rachel just stays calm, holding her box, her old Army medic patch peeking out on her bag. She tries explaining it's nothing classified, just dull cyber paperwork. Melissa's not buying it. Her panic's so real, she actually believes she's protecting the whole community by getting us arrested for moving in. So, cop car rolls up about 20 minutes later. Officer Carter gets out. You know the type, calm but all business. He sizes up the scene, then his eyes land on Rachel's army patch. Everything about him changes. The cop face melts away, and something deeper comes through. He leans in and whispers, "Ma'am, it can't be you." Like he's seeing a ghost. Rachel goes pale as a sheet, and I'm just lost, watching the world tilt. Melissa jumps in, demanding Carter start a full federal background check right there. But he's ignoring her. He only cares about Rachel, and there's this weird respect in his eyes. She whispers back, "Helmand Province, March 15th, 2016. Carter nods, like something life-changing just clicked. Suddenly, you could feel the air thick with history, like I was the only one who didn't know the ending to the movie everyone else had already seen. Melissa's still yapping about threats and protocol, but Carter just quietly pulls Rachel aside, and, "I'll never forget this." He looks at me and says, "Your wife held my wife when she died in Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Amy Carter, Helmand, 2016. She gave her piece when I couldn't be there." I felt like the ground was gone under me. My quiet, techie wife, the one who gets anxious about calling pizza delivery, had saved lives in a war zone and comforted a dying soldier. Meanwhile, Melissa, who'd just called the cops on us, had no idea who she was messing with. Carter turns back to us and says, "Why is Melissa King so scared of military folks that she calls 911 over moving boxes?" The question hung in the air, and you could see Melissa sweating bullets from her porch, watching the entire neighborhood slip out of her control. Next morning, Carter comes by, off duty, not a uniform in sight, and tells us the whole story. His wife Amy was a comms specialist killed in an IED attack during a routine patrol. Rachel, under enemy fire, crawled through chaos to reach the wounded. She held Amy for 43 minutes, whispering prayers, talking about home, about family, giving her peace. Amy's last words? Tell that medic she's my guardian angel. Carter's crying. I'm stunned, and Rachel, for the first time, lets herself talk about it. But Carter's not just sharing war stories. He's been digging. Melissa's background is a mess. Turns out, she'd been married to an Army sergeant, Thomas King, who died of cancer and rightfully got survivor benefits. But then she remarried her ex-husband and never reported it. Under federal law, she's supposed to stop those checks, but she kept cashing them. For 4 years, she collected $86,400 in fraudulent benefits. Carter's face was grim. That's prison time. But it gets crazier. Melissa, as HOA president, had been systematically identifying new military families, then making their lives hell until they left. She'd done it to the Williamses, the Smiths, the Johnsons, Army, Navy, Marines, all driven out by fake violations and harassment, right when they were most vulnerable. This wasn't petty HOA stuff. This was organized predatory behavior to cover her tracks. Frank, the retired Navy guy across the street, joins us. He's been keeping notes. He always thought Melissa's stories didn't add up. Wrong dates, fake unit details, claims about medals that didn't exist. She'd learned enough to sound convincing, but couldn't fake the real stuff. She waited until families were stressed, moving, deployments, PTSD, then went in for the kill with bogus fines and violations. Rachel, who'd spent 7 years hiding her combat trauma, suddenly flips a switch. You could see her military focus return. She starts researching HOA procedures, digging through public records, connecting dots. This wasn't about revenge. This was about exposing a predator. Carter keeps at it, talking to neighbors, collecting testimonies, building a case. Every day, Melissa piles on new violations. Mailbox 2 inches too high, trash can too far from the curb, porch light non-compliant. Each one comes with a fat fine. Meanwhile, Rachel turns our dining room into a war room. Evidence folders, timelines, photos, everything cross-referenced. I'm up at 2 a.m., eating dry cereal and Googling federal sentencing guidelines. Melissa's desperation ramps up. She accuses Rachel of hacking her records, starts wild rumors about dangerous outsiders. But Carter's cybercrime contacts find nothing. Every piece of evidence Rachel used was legal and public. 6 weeks crawl by while we wait for the feds to move. Melissa, clueless that Carter's already filed the VA fraud report, keeps digging her grave. But then, boom! Unmarked cars, federal agents, the whole 9 yards. They show up at Melissa's door, not ours. From our kitchen window, we watch her meltdown in real time. The lead agent, a woman in a black suit who looks like she's seen it all, lays out the charges. They're not just after survivor benefit fraud. They're looking at mail fraud, conspiracy, even organized crime. Melissa lawyering up is like a bad soap opera. Fancy lawyer, luxury car, grim faces. Word spreads, and suddenly everyone's gossiping about her. Neighbors remember details. No Purple Heart for her husband, deployment stories that didn't fit, never any actual military mementos at her house. The clincher comes at the emergency HOA meeting. She demands to clear her name. She goes full victim, attacks Rachel, accuses her of being a dangerous hacker with illegal government ties. Then Carter stands up. Calm, direct, no drama. He explains how public records work, lays out Melissa's fraud, and then, in front of everyone, tells the story of Amy Carter, of Rachel's service, of Ghost Viper saving lives. Frank adds his file of harassment evidence. Then families who'd been run off by Melissa call in, voices shaking as they describe what she did when they were most vulnerable. Melissa loses it, accuses the whole room, claims there's a military conspiracy against her. The act crumbles. That's when the feds come in, right in front of the whole community, and cuff her on charges that'll keep her in prison for years. The agent looks her dead in the eye and says, "We'll be investigating your co-conspirators too." It's dead silent except for the sound of neighbors recording on their phones. What came out after was even worse. Melissa wasn't alone. She'd been working with other HOA presidents across 3 counties, trading notes on how to target military families, how to hide fraud, how to use power to drive out anyone who threatened them. The scam was so big, the feds brought in conspiracy and hate crime charges. Targeting protected veteran families wasn't just mean, it was a federal offense. At the trial, the judge read her the riot act, called her crimes particularly reprehensible for targeting those who served. She got 30 months in prison, no parole, restitution, and her name in every local paper. Her own family disowned her. Her house foreclosed. Even her cellmates wanted nothing to do with her after they learned why she was in. The HOA board tossed her, did a full audit, and found years of missing funds, fake invoices, and more. Rachel, who never wanted to be a hero, was elected to the new board to protect military families. Carter got promoted for breaking the case. The whole neighborhood turned into a safe haven for vets. And as for Melissa, last I heard, she was writing sad letters from prison about honor and respect she never earned, forced by the court to do community service cleaning the very memorial park dedicated to Amy Carter. You'd think that'd be the end of it, but you know how these stories go. One day Rachel gets a call from San Diego. There's an HOA president here pulling the same scam. They want Ghost Viper's help. She just smiles at me, cool as ever, and says, "Looks like it's not over yet. So if you stuck with me this long, let me know. Ever seen justice hit this hard, this fast?" Drop your take in the comments. Is there any excuse for what Melissa did? Think there are more crooked HOAs out there? I'm Austin, and if you want to hear what happens when military families fight back, stick around, because in suburbia, you never know what your neighbor's really hiding.